Hello everyone, I'm Rob Smithley in the Black Quant Edge VTF here at T3 Live, and let's check it out. We got the SPY finally to take out both sides of the inside week, like I was saying, probably going to see last weekend. So here if we take a look, now we got that outside week, and we took out both sides of that range. Yet to take out this thing up in there. Just took out these guys, but you still have a couple levels up in here, and took everybody out down there, which is potentially good. But we're right on the month, and you can see this. Now that we took that out, how do we get outside of either that or that? Still closer to the downside. Not going to have any actionable signals outside of an outside week that we need to get outside of. If you go to QQQ, very similar here. And so you go back to that weekly, and you'll see this here, outside week again within this bigger realm. So once again, lines like this, Qs do take out those highs like that slightly, and then down in here. So it really, as you go to the daily and all this stuff, is really pretty tight. You get the higher high, the lower low, the higher high, the lower low. We're going to have to go sector by sector, it looks like, for now. If we go to Apple, Apple actually went weaken up last week, albeit the hard way. Gap up, go down, run up, gap up, come in, go inside, go rev strat, gap back up. So not an easy inside weekend up, but it did. So for right now, Apple no new actionable signals outside of this monthly is still green and trying to walk up on this stuff. We'll look for additional stuff because that weekly took out this triangle here. Sitting right on it, so still trying to get outside of there. If we go to small cappers, excuse me, a little bit weaker here, so you can see the small caps going almost right on the lows of the week to try and do some of this triangle expansion here. So if we go back to the monthly, you'll see this getting closer to taking out two levels of monthly lows here with this momentum hammer might be failing here and dropping back into this triangle. So no new actionable signals there, but we'll keep an eye on that weakness as of now. If we go to small cap or go to TLT bonds, and the bonds have had these this weekly shooter down, and now just continuing back into this. But you can see walking down here, and this is about where it stops. But we got no new actionable signals in here to see how it's going, and anything that goes out in the lows usually looks bad. But you can see this lower level triangle like this here within the trend. Higher high, lower lows, boom, 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 boom. So we'll see. If we go to SVXY. It's actually doing this. Remember, they took that out. Comes down here too strong to take that out, and we're still looking at this monthly. Here is an inside month. And so inside month, and like the broader stuff, outside week. So it still need to get outside of that outside week. If we go to, well, take a look at UUP and take a look at the dollar. Dollar UUP went inside week and up 2 weeks ago, and that takes the month and up, because if you look at FXE, the question is, what is all this stuff here? And because we know that the pound is rev strat month to the downside and going inside week again. So anyway, that's some fun. All right, if we go to the Dow Jones Diamonds. Dow Jones Diamonds, like everything else, outside week, or like, should I say, like the broader average. So here's your higher high. Couldn't take that out, and this was a problem. Then this one, right, and goes down and takes this out. Now back in the middle of this range, we need to set up to get out of there. Once again, these monthlies are just so tight. Just doji months, just really need these things to change and shake them up. Hopefully we get that. Boeing presently in the Dow is rev strat to the upside on the monthly because it's inside month countered, but 3-month pattern still need to set up to get out of that. We're nowhere near doing that as of right now. McDonald's trying to do them inside month and down, and is going to start off the week. Here's a momentum shooter to try and retake that month to the downside. If we get a Merck finally pokes its head up on those weeklies, and if you look at the daily, I think we've seen this pattern before. Tight range, tight range, tight range, tight range. Take it out, and now come back into the range. So we're going to be looking for, you can look for some setups. It could come down and take this baby out, because we've already taken this side out, and you know how they like to do that. So we'll see how that goes. If we go to old school Microsoft, you're going to see how tight these daily triangles really are. Tough in here when it's this tight. Bam, 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 bam. Intel the same. You can see this here. So really would like some increase in volatility to get these things moving. If we go to Nike, still underperforming. There are no new actionable signals, but see near the recent lows. So if we go to Coke, same type of deal. And if you just take a look at the XLP to see if they are going to go into defense, XLP still struggling for the most part. Remember that went month and down here off the highs. So we'll just want to take a look at that Coke to see if this old triangle support holds or what gives on, because you've got stuff like Dr. Pepper. Inside week for the Dr. Pepper. You got Kimberly-Clark just going to the recent lows, wiping this thing out, go back up. Inside week and down, down, down. So you're just seeing a lot of this in the defensive Kellogg, still giving it up. STZ would be one that's not, but you can see completely, almost completely in this range, but did take this out. So ideally, it would go out and try and take out the other side. Inside week for STZ. UNH sticking with the Dow there. Back to the Dow. Going out near the lows of the week, because if you look at like Cigna's inside day, presently inside month and down, trying to get the Humana, tries to perk back up on that inside month and down, but Humana going to start off tough time not being an inside week, but we've seen some pretty big moves in here and trying to go rev strat day to start off the week. If we go to the trannies, still Doge on the month. How do we get out of here? So for the most part, holding up fairly well, but on the daily, you got no new actionable signal, just chopping them up and spitting them out in here. How do we get out of that? For the most part, it's been, once again, case-by-case basis. If you look at American Airlines, this triangle here, chopping them up is good. Higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low. Real mess in there. That's tough. It is presently green on the month, which is good. So we'll see how that goes. You got Delta. Remember that we're trying to get out of this thing here. And Delta is just going to start off as an inside day. So not too much going on in the airlines. At least we got Spirit Airlines trying to do this momentum hammer daily to try and perk up a little bit. Try and get out of this outside bar. Once it does, it's got to stay out there. Otherwise, the triangle's right back in on. Okay, if we go to CSX rail gaps up and comes in. Earnings for keeping that up, so just doji on the week. A lot of neutrality there. Union Pac here trying to start off as momentum hammer. We'll see, because if we go back to the daily, the problem would be this. Daily shooter countering an outside bar, fractal triangle on a shorter term basis, so that could cause some problems. We'll see what Monday brings for that. If you go to CHRW, it's monthly. Still inside, outside, inside, and we're just going to respect the potential of this RevStrat week to the downside. Go to FedEx, not doing much, still holding up in here. How do we get out of all this? What is this? What was these 3 weeks in here? Still disseminating this gap, if you will, here. Takes that slightly out, but UPS. Now you got this tight range and now this spike down here. What's this? To try and take a maybe shot at the upside, because you get the monthly, if it ever kicks in, would be RevStrat month to the upside. So keep an eye on all that together. It's so many tight ranges. We really want to shake them up. XLU. There's going to be a lot to see about a lot of these defensive names coming up, and with the weeklies. You got XLU Momo Shooter monthly. And weekly, inside week, and you're going to see a ton of that stuff over there. Your ETR, your Dominion, your Southern Company, your NEE is not, and went weak and up. And NEE could be interesting here because it starts back, gets back to the middle of the triangle, and there's going to be an inside day. So we'll see how that goes. AEP, inside day, and you can see all these real nasty, vicious triangles on the daily to see how they're going to get out of this. Are they going to try and hold these bottoms and come all the way back up, or we're going to go measured move and really clock them? All right, so if we go to the REITs as well, VNQ, inside week there. So you've got a whole ton of these yielders to see what's going to go on. AIV going inside week. You got AVB. You've got BDN. You got letter O. Be so big on these. Triple N. And remember, these things had these really vicious triangles. We don't really see how these play out. If you go to your daily, boom, 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 boom. Now we're in a slight lower low, and now we're inside week. How do we get out of this? Expand this, go down sideways, measured roof, or really clock them, or bring them all the way back up. So certainly some interesting stuff here. BXP, inside week. Here, and you can see it coming back into that triangle. We got DLR, always a fave. You got EQR. You've got ETR, SPG. Yeah, if you go to the financials, we had earnings from banks trying to save the day, but for the most part, still in a stuck in a tight range. Inside week, outside week. Yeah, inside week, outside week, so not much to see there. And Citicorp did have some nice rallying, but then gaps up and comes right back in. It is still mounting up. So is Bank of America, or trying to. Bank of America would still need to reclaim this 1615. So we'd have to see that, but not too much to see these triangles getting. Even at Bank of America, you can see how tight this is. Higher. You keep getting these dipsy doos that come back in the middle, but now you're just back in the middle of this junk. J.P. Morgan. And you can see the gap in reverse is messing with them. So, not much to see here until we can get new setup, stuff like that. If we go to Wells Fargo, and Wells Fargo just stuck down in the mud here, no inside week, but still trying to get out of this stuff here, but no actionable signal there either. PNC Bank getting clocked here, and that's, you can just see this upper triangle here. Here's the big weekly one if they really want to kill it, but the question is, what is this? You can see this very clearly on the daily up in here. How does this complete? Still looking for actionable signals there, don't got it. KRE is an inside day, so to start off the week, you do have an inside day in KRE to keep an eye on. If we go to BMO Harris Bank, I believe their earnings are coming up because BMO Harris does stay inside week, BMO, so be keeping an eye on that. Morgan Stanley, real tight triangle business here, and you can see it like this here. How do we get out of here? Inside day, because Goldman Sachs gaps up and comes in a little bit, and so Goldman Sachs basically just goes doji on the week. How do we get out of that? Don't know. We have to look for further setups. We do have a cluster in the insurers: Met, Pru, HIG, all inside weeks. LNC is inside week above the inside month. And Ameriprise, just another one of these real pronounced triangles to keep an eye on. All right, if we go to XME, unfortunately, was taking a shot at going RevStrat month, still inside month, but trying to fail on that as it goes back towards the lows. We'll see how much they hit that thing continue. Do have big gold going inside week. Silva, inside week. GDX, I believe just misses, but JNugger does not and stays inside week, and that's given a boatload of those gold names. GOLD, look at that. Last inside week here, look at this. Down, sideways, inside week, and puke. So GOLD is just still monthing down. Here, if you go to Coeur d'Alene CDE, there's this monthly shooter down and going inside week. You've got FNV. That's monthing down. Here, monthing down Momo shooter to the downside. You've got PAAS. Monthly shooter down. That's silver. Inside week. RGLD. There's your inside week. And it's got the month and week combo going again. SLW, silver, wheat, and the same. So see the whole theme, AVX. So I think you're getting the picture there. AU. That is just Momo shooter on the monthly, but starting off as an inside day here. AEM. Momo's two shooters here to try and take it back down. Still monthly and down. All right, I think you get the idea of what we're keeping an eye on there. Not too much going on over there. So TCK just still hanging around. Strength. I'm still walking up this so far. We'll see how far that can go. FCX still doing all sorts of nothing. So we'll see and keep what that gold and silver can do. Good XRT retail. Inside day in this tight daily triangle. Really got to get out of here. How do we get out of this? Do we continue this, stop them out, and then right back down? Or can we try and bring them up? So we got to get out of there. You get Costco drying up into nothing here. But an interesting spot for it. Because inside week, and the question is, how do we get out this outside bar? You're going to crater it all the way down into there, and hit the triangle there, or try and bring it back up. You got the Walmart going weekly hammer if there's any hope there. It's also Dow Jones. We got the target, still choppy, mess, tight, but it is inside week, so we can respect that and keep an eye on it. If we go to the Burlington Coat Factory, Burlington Coat Factory's presently getting it done on the monthly shooting star and down. DG still flirting with trying to save its life and going outside or inside day real tight to see how I can get out of there, because you got the Dollar Tree's been getting pummeled too, but finally going inside week and see if they're going to just keep rocking and ripping these things, because the selling's been pretty steady. We go to Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. You got an inside week here near the recent highs. If we go to Brinker EAT, inside week there. So the question is going to go inside week and month. The downside, I'd have a tough time through here, not being another inside month. But if you go to the daily, see how this daily, if this wants to pop its head up off this inside day and start coming back up through that. So we will see. If we go to Foot Locker would be RevStrat to the downside on the daily. Weekly's inside, and if it goes to the upside, you have that inside month still flirting with the inside month and up. GES in all sorts of trouble and getting still inside month, but getting closer to breaking it. And you're going to start off with an inside day if it wants to take a shot at that. If we go to Jack in the Box. Jack in the Box inside week, and you can see this triangle here. So we'll see how that plays out. If you go to the daily, you'll see this here, inside week. Now, how do we get out of this? Can you rock it all the way back up to this stuff and try and take out that triangle or not? If we go to Nordstrom still working on that inside month and up, and now an inside week. Trying to reconfirm that if we can get inside week to the upside. Nordstrom. If we go to Kroger don't call it a comeback, but totally is. And the problem is, will the comeback be thwarted and go back into this daily RevStrat back to the downside if it wants to take it out? If we go to Kohl's, KSS, still having some problems. Got up in here trying to take that inside month and dumps, but it starts off as a hammer, and we're going to see if we go 2-bar inside pattern. Not strong enough to get outside of that mother month just yet. If we go to Lulubell, just a full-on sales puke. No actionable signals, but you can see this thing has been under a lot of pressure constantly. So we'll see how that reconfirms there and gives us any signals. Macy's goes up, goes down, and still inside month pattern. And oftentimes when you have these big outside months, it gets real tough to get out of there, and that's what's going on over there. If you go to RL, same deal. This big range out of here, trying to get out of here and just can't do it. So keep an eye on this daily business here. 1, 2, 3, triangle them out. See if there's any follow through that gives us anything like that to come down and take this out. If we go to Phillips Van Heusen, and Van Heusen still messing with that monthly. Got above it and trying to stay and see if we can break up. It's an outside week, so I'm going to see if we can get back above that inside month. If we go to Ross Stores. Ross Store's still trying to walk up here gradually, still going towards the high, still 2-month inside pattern. I haven't taken that out, but flirting around with this inside month. And so if we can take that out, you'd go weekly momentum hammer, inside month and up for Ross Stores. Tiffany's still trying to work on this inside month as well, looking for shorter term setups to reconfirm and try and get out of there. If we go to the max for the minimum, TJ Maxx. Still suffering a bit. But doji on the month, so no big deal. Right? Now, so we're going to hold an upper level triangle, hold higher than these things. So just to start off the week, you're going to start off as an inside day to see if there's any hope. And you can see how tight this triangle, this outside bar here. You need to get even out of this stuff, which is making things tough when these triangles are so tight. We need some volatility, please. Okay. If we go to Whole Foods starting off as RevStrat daily, trying to go to the upside. Inside week, see if there's any hope there. And Williams-Sonoma, yeah. And Williams-Sonoma can see just the steady selling. So the question is going to get through all these eyeballs, because you know there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on this neighborhood here. No new actionable signals outside of an outside day. bearish engulfer to send it to test all that stuff. If we go to Yum Brands once again going to be inside week. It's going to be a tough time to get outside of this week, but we'll see. Abercrombie, if there's any hope, inside week off the lows. And Best Buy, another one of those stores that's flirting with the inside month break. So we'll see how that goes. If we go to the IBB problem is this. Once again, what was this? Is this corrective activity of this? Goes down, corrective activity, puke, goes up, goes down, corrective activity, and really puke. That would be a big problem. And right now it took out this upper level triangle here, and so now back in the middle of this range. So how does it get out of that? Well, you're starting off to try and expand this daily triangle on a bearish engulfing bar, which is a fractal triangle in and of itself. GILD still marching lower, but inside day to start off, but we know what this thing's been trying to do. Slowly but surely die, and that's what it's doing. But now you got an inside day if there is any hope. Celgene. And once again, these triangles just trying to rip them down through because that weekly. And this weekly we're looking at higher highs, lower low, higher high, and now coming all the way back in, inside week and down, and right on the butt lows is no new actionable signal for Celgene would be your brightest spot there. BIIB, I'm trying to see if it could get through all this stuff, re-breaking all this stuff. So we're took this range out and came back up, but couldn't muster the inside day up, musters it right back down. So you'll see this BIIB like so. You go to the daily. Still can't put in any significant higher high. Just took these guys out once, but didn't take that out. Then here, and then finally just giving it up. So another good thing is there are no new actionable signals there either. Regeneron, and the weekly talked about this one. Bam, 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 and now just took out some recent lows still in the triangle. Once again, no new actionable signal would be the best thing you got going. Amgen on the daily, just walking down this, you can see this triangle up in here, and then if you go to the daily, you'll see it like this. And it goes outside bar right to the low, so we'll see how it tests that come Monday morning. If we go to Clovis, you got an inside week. Jazz Farm has just been underperforming, so if we look at this weekly, we got that slight higher high, and what is this consolidation here? We can look for additional actionable signals. We go down, chop them up, measured move, because you go on the daily, once again, you see these outside bearish engulfers to try and expand to and kill them. If we go to MNK just walking down similarly. MNK is inside month and down, so we'll see further follow through for that. PBYI, see if this was corrective action and start moving lower. If you go to that weekly, you see, remember we triangled them up in here, now triangled them but good, and now slow and steady with the rest of the gang. Here, walking down, you could use more actionable signals if we can find them. Teva, just another underperformer, having all sorts of trouble and going to the recent lows. And you can see this on the monthly, somewhat in free fall. But you've got to be careful of that. Once again, no actionable signals. VRX is inside month and down, so that we do know. And it's been a grinder. But it's been walking lower off of this stuff here. This is support, and then it became resistance. Bam, 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 bam. So what makes it difficult when you're just walking and grinding like this is anytime you try and short it when it's going into new lows, it pops right back up. And that's why when things are really tight grinding, you want to look for these signals that appear up off of this as opposed to going into new lows. All right, if we go to ABC, two-day inside pattern there. Weekly inside week, and monthly. Once again, was this corrective activity? Now we're just going to continue back to the lows. Well, the inside week might have something to say about it. We'll go there. Alexion. That was inside week and down last week here, and so I just want to see if we're going to make it back all the way back to all these lows down in here like it's been doing. We could use some more actionable signal there as well. BMRN gives us actionable signals. BMRN is inside month and down. Here, inside month and down, so is MYGN, but MYGN is just going straight into the lows. All right, if we go to crude oil, USO, crude oil, still inside month and up in the USO above 1103, so it's still inside month and up, just having a tough time getting any significant reconfirmation here. And I believe it goes inside day on Friday, so I want to see how if this is the corrective activity in here to keep going. If we go to XLE, the problem here is trying not quite making the higher high out of this. And once again, that monthly slow grinder is just, how do we get something going out of this? What is this? So right here you can see this. Some people will see a channel. We know that it's a series of broadening formations on a shorter term basis. But how do we get out of this? What is this going to do? And you got an outside week there in the XLE. If you go to the XOP, same type of deal. And it's just watching the daily here. You'll see the slight higher high. Now, what is this triangle here? XOP. How are we going to get out of this thing? So we're watching the underlying. Basically, you're watching all the stocks. As you go OIH here, you see it well defined here on the daily. How do we get out of here? The higher high, the lower low. Couldn't make the higher high, hits the lower low, makes the higher high. How do we get out of this stuff? Go to the big boys, Exxon. Remember, Exxon came ripping into here. And now an outside week. And so what an outside week is going to do here for Exxon is this. Once again, we got another triangle we got to get out of. Outside week. So if we go to the daily, what's that going to look like? It's going to look like this. Take them out. Take them out. And how do we get out of here? No new actionable signal there. Still would be cooking an inside month and doji on the month. Shever pretty much the same here with the outside week. All right? How do we get out of this? What is this? Look at all this long range here. And that's really, it still would be inside month as well because if you go to the monthly, it's going to see this. How do we get out of here? That's 3 months in here. It sucks. To put it bluntly, as we're trying to find things that are moving. But if we go to CLR, the question is, what is CLR? Look at this daily here. Now you got a triangle you can sink your teeth into. Higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low, higher high. Now, how do we get out of this? Well, you're going to start off as an inside week. You're going to find out off of that. If we go to Conoco, you see once again this monthly is just brutal. There's monthly is just, come on, man, how are you going to get out of here? But we do have, eventually the volatility will pick up, and that's why we're watching these broadening formations slowly but surely getting bigger. How are we going to get out of there, Conoco? You want to go puking all the way down to the lows? That'd be nice. All right, if we go to currencies. See out or ZO, you can see this higher high, lower low, higher high. What is this? How do we get out of that? So we're no actionable signal there, but I certainly want you to have some of these drawn. So when things start moving, you go, they're going. And you can look for additional actionable signals. And Devon Energy goes up. You can see this question, is this going to try and go back down onto this, or are you going to try and take a shot at these things? Because here Devon goes inside weak here. Devon goes inside week, and if it takes these guys out, then it would go inside month and weekend up. So still waiting on the old Devon. If we go to EOG, just going to see another triangle like here we need to get out of. What is this thing here on the daily? Bam, bam, bam. Take out the highs are going to be weak enough to come down and test all this stuff again. So we'll keep an eye on for additional actionable signals as the weekday goes on. APC still hanging near the highs. And APC inside weak near the recent highs to see if that can get it going again, or if they're teeing them up to bring them all the way back into this stuff. You know how they like to do all this work just to wipe it out in one bar, but let's not go there just yet. All right, if we go to FANG, F-A-N-G Energy. FANG pops up here and goes weekly shooting star versus the inside bar. So technically that would be a rev strat if we can take that down if we got any problems. However, if it holds and has full time frame count to the upside, you're still monthly momentum shooter hammer to the upside. If we go to, speaking FANG, one of them outperformers, but if we stick with the real crushers here, the PE, and the PE here, trying to go shooter here off the top of the triangle. Is this going to be able to keep maintaining, or is it going to drop back in? CWEI monster still can't take out a lower low on all this stuff for weeks, and now you're starting off the daily as a rev strat to the downside if they finally want to bring her in. All right, if we go to PXD. PXD, you can see this daily triangle very, very well defined. It's caused the weekly shooter, so higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low, higher high. And now, let's see if that thing's going to weekly shooter back in and take all these guys out. So you'll see this on the weekly like this. Okay, and an outside weak here, tighter fractal triangle. So we'll see how that goes. If we go to SU, you're going to get another good example, much like the SPY. You can see that this thing was down here. This is why you look for these, where in the range they're going to go. And you can see this range here, down, down, up, slight higher high, comes down, slight lower low, then the slight lower low on these guys to just take them out, and then bam, all the way back and take all these guys out. So I thought you'd enjoy that. I do. Okay, if we go to WLL, inside day to see if this, once again, this triangle in here, if it's going to drop back in and go back towards oblivion, or can finally hold and try and break back out. Underlier probably going to have something to say about that. XEC is still one of the outperformers here and still working the momentum monthly hammer to try and get out of here. But if it does not, you'll see this daily here. Bam, bam. What is this up in here to see if it can test coming back through there? All right, we'll keep an eye on that. If we go to Slob and Halliburton, Slob technically is still that monthly hammer up. Here, as of right now, just need more reconfirmation. We got Doji on the week doing nothing. Halliburton here is hammer counter shooter in there, but on Halliburton starting off as an inside day, and after an outside day. And so if we take that, so that's how tight that is, that triangle is. But if you take it out further, you can see this really well defined here. Higher, high, lower, low, higher, high, lower, low, higher, high. Now, outside bar, then inside bar. What is this? Are we going to get triangle expando and break out of this? Or is it going to want to try and drop in? As you can see this on the weekly. This triangle here, and now Doji right on it. So important on either side of that for Halliburton. If we go to Baker Hughes still trying to hold on to inside month and up. Here, if we go to Diamond Offshore, yeah, I know, Diamond Offshore, and here's Diamond Offshore and Riggy. If there's any hope, inside weeks. See what they want to do with those things. If we go to Encana ECA, this thing still daily triangle here. How do we get out of this? Boom, 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 boom. And now right up into there to see, remember this baby used to be somebody. So on the monthly, there's a lot of room to the upside if they want to break it out of here. But first things first, got to get out of that. If you go to NOV, and NOV is just a 2-week inside pattern. So I want to see either side of these 2 weeks. Here, how do you get out here? It's technically a rough strat to the downside if you can take these two, but you just have a big range you still need to get out of. If you go to Rowan Drilling, RGC, inside week there to see if this is the smaller triangle here and drop them in, or up sideways measured move towards that. All right, so refiners inside. You got WNR refiner still trying to walk up out of that. You got Tesoro inside. You got Valero inside, so we'll keep an eye on those. If you go to Natty Gas still trying to make its move, but Natty going inside day here after an outside day, and they have been non-believers over there. As you can see, RRC would be an inside day, but they're bringing it right back in off of this stuff, and EQT. Non-believers of the rally so far, and but bottom of the triangle there for EQT. And if we take a look at COG is presently inside day, and RevStrat went RevStrat month to the downside. Here, pokes out, comes back in there, boom, boom, boom. There go to stops, but now you got an inside day to see how far they can take it. FCG, I'm definitely going to keep an eye on this thing. The Nat Gas triangle here. Couldn't take that out. That's a problem. And now it goes inside day to see if it can drop back into this stuff. So we'll keep an eye on that. If we go to XLK, TAC, XLK here, and once again, tight stuff here. And it goes those weekly. Here, what is this? This outside week, much like the Qs. How do we get out of that? And if you go to semis, SMH, here, you got an outside week bearish engulfing coming off the highs. And so is there going to be follow through? They're going to go inside weeks again. And, here, you got the slight higher high up in there, and then you come down almost take this stuff out, but you don't. Hammer, hammer, shooter. It's a little bit messy, and that's why we're not going to see too much. Facebook, same deal. Look at this. You get killed in here. It's like doing nothing. It's like, how do you get out of this stuff? And believe it or not, it was so tight it went outside weak, and that's oftentimes what's going to happen. So when you see that, we want to get outside of these outside weeks because that tells us that the ranges are expanding. And so till then, not, honey. Amazon just walked down the inside day, calls the high so far, then one inside day, then failed rev strat and trying to drop in. Just don't have any new actionable signals for you. All right, but from a time frame continuity aspect, so long as it's below the 836, you got yourself a red month, and so that's all you had to wait for was setups to take that out. And that's right here. Inside day changes the continuity of the month to red with an actionable signal. All right, if we go to Netflixy, hey, Netflix, still, it's just trying to get out of this. It's just so tight. It blows. How do we look at this range over this last month? So we got, good thing is we got earnings coming out to shake some of these guys up, and that's pretty much a lot of this stuff what we're going to be waiting for because of Google doing nothing. Doji inside month doing nothing. Look at it's doing nothing. Here, look, you get killed in here. Oh yeah, no, bam, 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 bam. No, thank you. Okay, but it is shooting star on them weekly if they try and take it down. If we go to checkpoint CHKP, start off a rev strat day. So once again, those monthlies, 3 dojis suck, but it is starting off as a daily rev strat, so we'll consider that for Monday morning, depending on what's going on. Like so. If we go to CTSH, CTSH slightly takes out this range and comes back in. And what that does is sets up potential rev strat week to the downside. Inside bar slightly taken out, opens and closes back. Stops are here, here, and here if they want to smash it again. CTSH. If we go to data, data tried to recover off of this and then falls back in. So that presently is inside month and down. And we'll respect that. If this was corrective activity in the inside month, going to resume this baby. LRCX still trying to hold the inside month and up, and triangle becomes support, but starting off as potential rev strat day to the downside. We'll see how that goes. If we go to Marvell, MRVL, MRVL pops up, and that would give you rev strat week to the upside. Inside bar countered with hammer, but once again, these ranges really tight. Corvo, hoping on that monthly. He was hoping to get that rev strat monthly back up. No soup for you. And once again, outside week here. And so how do you get outside of this? And then you're going to start off as an inside day momentum shooter to try and take these guys out and see if we can weaken all the way towards that stuff. Because once again, you can see him just barely take them out up in here. Now we got to take them out and see if it gets worse. If we go to VMW, oh boy. VMW, inside week, outside week, inside week. Look at this. Look at this. It's so stupid, that range. But it's inside week, and you got a monthly, inside month to try and take out. Yelpster, just a little weekly shooter and then back in. Just a little example of what the triangle can do, and you keep an eye on them. Shooter, counters, hammer, and then back in. See if that completes there. You've got Akamai. Inside week here in the middle of that range. How do we get out of there? And once again, if you look at the monthly, there's going to be a lot of eyeballs up into here to see if you can get out of there. But, you know, if things start moving, we want to know where these inside weeks are, and there's one. Amber. Just triangulating a bit here, old Amber, like this. Here, higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low, comes in here and starts inside day. So the question is going to try and expand this off the inside day continuation or try and bring it back up into the range. We shall see. Just a few more today. Ashland here would be rev strat month. Is rev strat month right now. Shooter counters inside bar and is below it. FSLR trying to go monthly hammer and inside week to try and get out of this lower level triangle we identified on the daily. So it's trying to hold this stuff and get out of here. Inside week, monthly hammer, potential upside. FSLR, MKTX. And I just pointed this out this week, just a slow drifting death here, as it is a monthly shooter down. And if all this was too much of a run up after the gradual this, oftentimes they retrace that whole thing. So I would definitely keep an eye on this thing for the slow drippage and hopefully acceleratage. If we go to just Toll Brothers in the home builder, trying to go inside month back to the downside, as you can see, Weyerhaeuser somewhat hanging out the better way here and just going as an inside week, and so that can either start crapping out and help all that stuff to fall apart or bring them back up. If we go to Wynn Resorts, it's still trying to hold this business here, but inside week down and rev strat month to the downside below 91.11 if anything starts to go wrong. Once again, tight range, take out the upside. Doesn't surprise me to go take out the downside and then maybe come back right in the middle and start all over again. Ziller, just a well-defined daily triangle to keep an eye on and potentially the bottom of it. SCTY, finally we go down to Elon Musk, and Elon's got the inside week for the SCTY, and he's got the inside week for Tesla. And at this point, outside week, inside. So really want to be careful on this one because it could potential down sideways measured move, and if it does, what it would be doing, it's causing an outside bar in the monthly to try and take this range out finally, and that would be 187.87. And that's certainly it's not out of the realm of possibilities at this point. So a lot of this tight range really needs to play out, and the good thing is that we know how to hop on board once things are moving. But when you look at things, and one of the problems that people have is that your perception changes because of the way that your software will present the chart to you. And so oftentimes it's very important. That's why I'd start with these monthlies to pull back, because the software will recalibrate and draw big bars when there's nothing going on. And so when you'll see an initial spike, you're like, oh my God, it's really gone. And when you go to the monthly and the daily, it's really not doing anything. So these ranges really need to expand. All we've been seeing recently is sector rotation into certain things, out of certain things all day long, and then every once in a while, like we got last week, a bit of a range extension, but then we come right back into the range and we're doing nothing. So be aware of that. And we've got another presidential debate this week, and we got a lot of earnings coming out, and the earnings season hopefully will provide us with more opportunities and gappers and whatnot. All right, I'm Rob Smith, the In the Black Quant Edge VTF here, T3 Live. Hope you all have a great weekend, and see you Monday morning.